Have you ever imagined waking up with calm glucose levels, feeling energized and free from the constant worry of, is my blood sugar high again? It may seem like a distant idea, but there's a simple and straightforward way to turn your nights into allies for managing your glucose levels. First and foremost, it's important to note that this isn't a miraculous trick or a secret formula. We're talking about practical actions grounded in reflections that hark back to the times of Seneca. The intriguing part is that when you open yourself to this type of approach, you start to view diabetes care as something greater than just what to eat or not to eat. It's an opportunity to rediscover your own balance and cultivate a serenity that influences both your body and mind. You might have encountered the famous idea that challenges awaken capacities that remain hidden during calm moments. This is where the valuable advice of the Stoics comes into play. If you view diabetes as a significant challenge, you gain the chance to develop solid discipline, become more aware of your habits, and exercise practical wisdom every day, especially in the moments leading up to sleep. It's often said that the final hours of the day are crucial for those keeping an eye on their blood sugar, and there's a reason for that. What you eat before bedtime, your emotional state, and even the exact time you eat all influence how your body processes sugar. Many people worry about going hungry or feeling bad before sleeping, leading them to succumb to the temptation of snacking on foods that only worsen the problem. It's also natural to wonder, should I go to bed earlier? Is it true that being stressed or anxious affects blood sugar levels? Without realizing it, we enter a cycle of worry that can even disrupt sleep quality. According to medical research, poor sleep can lead to hormonal imbalances that tend to worsen blood sugar control. And if you throw anxiety into the mix, the result is a stress response that messes with the entire system. At this point, Stoic philosophy gives us a nudge to rethink how we face these difficulties. Instead of seeing diabetes as a constant obstacle, we can view it as a chance to reinforce our ability to maintain calm amidst adversity. It's somewhat like Seneca's idea: difficulties strengthen the mind, just as vigorous exercise strengthens the body. When it comes to nighttime eating, it's important to remember that there's no one-size-fits-all formula, but a few general guidelines can make a difference. If your routine allows, try opting for lighter meals, prioritizing things like salads with leafy greens, a serving of grilled chicken, and a nutritious grain like quinoa. Many people think that just eating a salad solves all problems, but the truth is that a balanced meal, one that includes proteins and healthy carbohydrates, provides the necessary fuel for the body without causing abrupt sugar spikes. This doesn't mean you have to eat the same thing all the time. Rather, it's about organizing options that please the palate while aiding digestion through the night. Eating mindfully also means paying attention to portion sizes. When we eat too close to bedtime, the digestive process becomes heavy, glucose levels tend to rise, and we run the risk of not sleeping well. This is where the advice comes in to try having dinner at least 2 or 3 hours before sleeping, allowing the body time to begin digestion without additional pressure. However, diet is not everything. If you sleep poorly or have restless nights, your body interprets this as another stress factor. And believe me, stress is one of the biggest villains for those trying to keep glucose stable. That's why relaxation practices are so strongly advocated, especially when we look at writings from figures like Marcus Aurelius, who used to write reflections before going to bed as a form of meditation. It may seem like a minor detail, but this nightly ritual, whether daily or at least frequent, places the mind in a different space and prevents that avalanche of thoughts that often arises forcefully when your head hits the pillow. If you're not in the habit of meditating, you could try something more basic. Listen to calming music, read a few pages from a book that brings peace, or simply sip on a light tea, such as chamomile or fennel. In fact, tea can be an interesting ally. The warmth helps relax the body, while the natural properties of the plant assist in reducing anxiety. Just remember that instead of sweetening with sugar, you can use a little stevia or even drink it unsweetened, if you can get used to that. This mention of tea brings up another important aspect. There are drinks and foods that help stabilize blood sugar during the night. One example is hibiscus tea, which some people are already familiar with for its benefits related to fluid retention and weight control. The preparation method is simple. Just boil water, turn off the heat, add dried flowers or a tea bag, and let it steep for a few minutes. It's not recommended to overdo the amount of flowers, as the tea can become bitter or too strong. But when consumed in moderation, it can be a partner in your nightly routine. Nonetheless, always remember to check if hibiscus interferes with any treatment you might be undergoing. It's best to verify that it doesn't cause any unwanted reactions, especially for those taking specific medications for diabetes or high blood pressure. You might be wondering, but what does Stoicism have to do with this dietary discipline and all this talk about control? Well, Stoicism proposes that we direct our energy towards what we can change and accept with serenity what we can't. In the case of diabetes, we can't simply turn off the condition, but we can choose, at every meal, with every decision, to adopt a more conscious attitude. Epictetus stated something like, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." So, while you may not have control over the fact that you need to monitor your glucose, you do have control over the actions you take to keep it stable, especially at critical times like nighttime. Sometimes, the immediate craving for something sweet becomes overwhelming, but reflecting on how this might lead to harm the next morning helps put things into perspective. It's not about prohibiting everything you enjoy, but rather about developing a form of practical wisdom by carefully choosing the timing and quantity of what you consume. Another less discussed point, but one that deserves attention, is the emotional factor. If you go to bed worried, thinking your sugar will spike or that the next day will be full of complications, that mental state can impact your sleep and, consequently, your body's balance. It's no wonder that doctors stress the dangers of chronic stress, which releases substances in the body that can increase blood sugar levels. In this scenario, Stoic acceptance comes in to calm the mind. Acceptance is not resignation or pretending that everything is fine. It's being aware of reality and choosing actions that generate less suffering and more positive outcomes. Accepting that there are dietary limitations, acknowledging that it won't always be possible to eat everything you want, yet maintaining the resolve that this is part of greater self-care. This attitude actually improves your relationship with food. Instead of viewing food as an enemy or mere momentary pleasure, you begin to see it as fuel for a healthier, more balanced life. For those who think this is all too theoretical, it's worth trying gradually. You could start today by choosing a lighter dinner, planning to eat by a certain time, and then replacing that late-night snack with warm tea. Pay attention to how you feel when you wake up the next day. It's possible that, gradually, your glucose levels will start to remain at better levels, simply because you allowed your body to process food properly and avoided overwhelming it with negative stimuli before sleep. Not to mention that the mind tends to relax more when it knows it made the right choices, reducing the guilt that often disrupts sleep quality. It's a change that might seem subtle, but it makes a significant difference when it becomes routine. Another important point is to reserve some time for complete digestion, which doesn't mean fasting or going hungry. Just try to respect a 2 to 3 hour gap between your last meal and bedtime. This way, your body can initiate the digestive process without feeling overloaded. If you find yourself quite hungry late at night, choose something light, like plain yogurt or a low glycemic fruit, always in moderation. Once again, maintaining that Stoic mindset is crucial. I can choose what's best for my body, even if temptation pushes me in the other direction. This well-directed willpower, stemming from the understanding of why you're doing this, leads to surprising results. If anxiety strikes before bed, where your mind won't stop running and worries insist on robbing you of peace, remember the relaxation practices that Marcus Aurelius and other Stoics embraced. For example, you could write down 3 things that went well during your day and express gratitude for them. You can take deep breaths for a few minutes, focusing solely on the movement of air coming in and out. Or, if you feel you need to calm down even more, you might have a cup of chamomile tea, well known for its soothing properties. The key here is to resist the temptation to keep fiddling with your phone or endlessly scrolling through social media, as this stimulates the mind and may delay the production of sleep hormones. The calmer you are as you drift off, the lesser the chances your body interprets the night as a period of agitation, keeping cortisol, the stress hormone, levels high. The big question remains, does this really eliminate blood sugar from night to day? Practically speaking, it's not a magical elimination, but rather a healthy stabilization that prevents unwanted spikes. When we talk about eliminating, we mean giving the body the conditions to naturally reduce excess glucose levels, allowing us to wake up with much better indices. Of course, if you're on medication, you need to continue following medical guidelines, but nothing prevents you from combining all of this with simple strategies that integrate sound dietary choices, relaxation techniques, and this Stoic philosophy of viewing each challenge as an opportunity for growth. As you solidify these practices, you'll discover that you don't need radical diets or extreme deprivation to have a more peaceful night. The secret lies in balancing daily choices, understanding the value of each food, and respecting your body's natural functioning. Many health professionals argue that, beyond regulating glucose, these routine changes help prevent various other issues. And when you realize that a set of small actions has a much greater effect than an isolated medication or a stray tip from the internet, you find an even stronger motivation to keep moving forward. You might even know someone who is engaged in the same daily struggle against diabetes. Why not share these ideas or trade experiences? Sometimes, a small recipe suggestion or a comment about how you slept after implementing a relaxation routine can inspire others to do the same. There is collective strength in all this, as when we share knowledge, we offer those around us the opportunity to seek a lighter and healthier path. And that is priceless, especially when we talk about a problem that affects so many people around the world. Before we conclude, it's worth remembering that every change is directly linked to how we handle our minds. If you adopt the mindset that it will never work or it's too much sacrifice, you end up convincing yourself of something you haven't even had the chance to test fully. Stoicism shows us that it's not the situations themselves, but our interpretation of them, that determines how we feel. So, choosing to see nighttime glucose care as an exercise in self-control and serenity completely transforms how you approach the process. The consistency in applying these practices and the confidence that each step brings real benefits are fuels for effective results. And here's a final provocation. Isn't it worthwhile to try a more balanced dinner and a relaxation ritual before bed today, just to see what happens tomorrow? If you think so, you might even write down how the experience went and later share what you felt was different. It's in this kind of exchange that we grow together, as there's always someone who offers a new story, an unexpected tip, or even a word of motivation that makes all the difference. By the way, since we're having this conversation, if you feel these suggestions resonate with you, remember to stay close, follow the channel, and share your opinion. This enriches the discussion, strengthens the content, and helps more people discover that it is indeed possible to wake up with more balanced glucose and a calmer mind. After all, taking care of oneself is an act of consciousness, and carrying this idea forward can be the start of something much greater in the lives of those who face the reality of diabetes every day.